Hello and welcome to the Lake District Yogi. My name's Kat and welcome to this second part of the Journey into Yoga for Complete Beginners series that I am running. So if you did the last class, you'll know that we are working on foundational basics to enable you to build a really sustainable, safe practice that can take you on for a lifetime. So there is no end point to this series. It is merely an introduction, starting with the building blocks of a really secure yoga practice. So this class is going to start off with a lot of lying down supine positions, and really useful for helping us ground, which is really key to our yoga, is knowing where we're in contact with the floor. I know that might sound a bit obvious, and using that as part of our practice. There'll be lots more about that later. Then we're going to do a couple of poses that we did in the first video. So repetition and doing, practicing the same poses is really useful. And then we're going to add on and add in a couple of new poses. So, as always, you can do this class without any props at all, but if you have them, it could be really useful to grab a blanket, multi-purpose. You'll see we might use it for a number of things. And if you have them, a couple of yoga blocks. If you don't have blocks, bricks will do, a pile of books, it doesn't really matter. It's anything that just raises the floor a little to enable you to, for the pose to be more accessible. So the beauty of a yoga block, if you want to invest in anything other than a really good non-slip mat, get a block, because of the multiple heights that you can use. So if you're particularly tight in an area and you're really struggling, you can put it on its high end and it will really lift the floor quite a lot. If it's just a little bit, you can put it here. So there's lots of uses for them. So, but you don't need them because I will be showing you modifications in that instance. Okay, so we're going to start lying down on our mat. I'll just have a sip of tea. Okay, on your backs. So I very often start my classes, when I teach classes, I start on the back. We always end on our backs as well for Shavasana. I quite kind of like the cyclical nature of a class that starts and ends lying down. However, I always, well, not always, but I nearly always remind my students at the beginning that this isn't Shavasana. We're not going to that place yet. So just lying out flat can be quite tempting because you think, oh yeah, we're just about to slide into relaxation. So I often suggest bending the knees, keeping the feet flat on the floor, and either walking the feet out quite wide and letting the knees just rest against each other, or putting the soles of the feet together and opening out the hips that way. So whichever feels more comfortable. So that's often how I start a class. And then in this position, it's just an opportunity to really arrive fully in your body. And you start to discover, when you undertake a yoga practice, that quite often your body might be here on the mat, but your mind may very well not be. It could be anywhere else, frankly. And so this is an opportunity to try to integrate those parts of ourselves. So our body, eventually we'll add in our breathing. Where is our thinking mind at? How are we feeling? What emotions are we carrying? What mood is sort of predominant today? Where are our energy levels? And all of those things can become integrated. So we bring it all in and we sort of have this short time of kind of centering and gathering ourselves. And if you're doing this in the evening and you may have had a really frantic day, you may have had a boring, there's all manner of things that happen during the day, and we bring all of that to our mats, and so should we. That's exactly what it's all about. It's about coming to the mat exactly as we are, with all the baggage and upset and excitement or whatever we've got swirling around in our bodies. We bring it all to the mat. We let everything settle. And then we start to bring in our breathing. And the breath is a really crucial part of yoga. I mean, it's absolutely essential. It's that linking of breath and movement that makes yoga so powerful. And it can be a little bit daunting, but it doesn't need to be. You're breathing all day, every day. You might not be consciously breathing, but you're certainly doing it. All we're doing now is bringing that sort of spotlight of awareness onto our breath. And the minute we do that, you'll probably discover your breathing starts to change. But it doesn't need to. We don't need to go from 0 to 60, from no conscious awareness of our breath to complete, deep, full breath. We don't need to do that. We can do it in stages. And I always suggest at the beginning that instead of worrying about deepening the breath or taking fuller breaths, which can actually create some tension if you suddenly take, the fullest breath that your body can deal with. Instead of that, I often like to think of it as creating a bit more space for the breath. So just gently sort of visualizing spaciousness within your body and letting the breath flow into that space. And then we take away any of the pressure or tension that could come along with focusing on the breath. We let it do its thing, but we just give it a little bit more space. Another really nice cue is to smooth out the edges. You'll know if you're really tense or if you're anxious. One of the first things that happens is our breath becomes, firstly it becomes quite rapid and shallow, right high up here, and it can become a bit jaggedy. So giving it some space and smoothing out the edges may be all we need to do right now. And so as you take these smoother, slower breaths, seeking space, we also seek space within our thinking mind. And if lying down like this has only highlighted how completely frantic your thinking is, that's fine. Again, that's just that spotlight of awareness. But eventually we are working towards the same idea of creating space in our minds, not to stop thinking, but to allow space between the thinking. Space where we can just be. Okay, now if you haven't already, I'm going to ask you to put the soles of your feet together and just let the knees open out. So I'm quite open here. Your knees may be really, up here. This may feel really uncomfortable. Just see how it feels for you. And if it doesn't work, if this isn't right yet, then change to your other position, putting your feet wide and your knees together. If you need to pop a couple of blocks underneath your knees, that's fine too, but don't force anything, no bouncing when we get here. We're just allowing, just like with the breath, the same feeling of finding spaciousness, just gently letting the body open. You can place your hands on your belly or on the ground beside you. Focus on that spacious, slow, smooth breath. And feel the ground beneath you. Feel the support. And when you know you're fully supported by the earth beneath you, then you're in a position to surrender something. I think so many of our troubles come from clinging to the way we think things should be, the way that we're told they should be. Maybe that's not in alignment with what we want or who we are at all. One of the multitude of things that yoga teaches us is to surrender certain things. And surrendering to just what is. Surrendering that clinging and clenching to things. And when we start to soften in that way and we create space there too, then that inner wisdom, that inner knowing has the space to bubble up. Okay, if you've got your knees wide, very gently close them like a book. You can take your hands and gently help them up. And then have your feet flat on the ground. And now pad them up and down. Feel the soles of the feet as they touch down, maybe from the toes to the heels. Like a really mindful step, like a cat padding before it settles. And gradually ceasing the movement, but continuing with that sensation of the connection between your feet and the ground. Play around with how much pressure you place through the feet. None, and your legs just feel a little bit, blur, movable, maybe not so stable. Too much, and you start to even kind of lift your hips or create tension. So find that middle way of the amount of connection between the feet and the ground so that you start to feel that the legs are a little bit awake and engaged, and that there's some sensation of stability being created. Okay, keep the pressure in the left foot, bring the right knee into the chest. You may notice that things start to move or shift. You might need to sort of inch your hips down a bit, or jiggle around just to get comfortable. Tuck the chin a little, flatten out the small of the back, feel the length of the spine against the earth and the sole of that left foot. And then we're going to start to extend this right leg. It can stay really bent. That's fine. This is an exploration. I love this. This is where I always close my eyes, but this is where you feel your way in. We're not just throwing our leg up there and hoping for the best. We're not insisting it's completely straight. We're not overextending. We're feeling our way in. A little bit like tiptoeing in the dark, feeling your way. And when you do it this way, your body will definitely tell you when enough is enough. It'll tell you what it needs. It'll tell you when you need to back off. You can flex the foot as if you're trying to press up the ceiling. You can hold around the back of your thigh and just keep extending. And as you extend, keep that pressure through the left foot. And just feel how that kind of lifts and awakens your entire lower body, creates such a feeling of strength and stability. You're completely supported. If you want to find little bits of movement, little sways, or circle the ankle, or anything intuitive that feels good, do it. Okay, we're going to take this right foot, we're going to bend the knee and place the right foot just underneath the left knee. So imagine the top of your knee, your kneecap, slide it down your thigh just a fraction. Keep that right foot completely flexed, and then feel into the right hip. Again, any adjusting you need to do. It could be this is enough. You're going to stay here, just allowing that spacious breath to flow in, finding a sense of spaciousness in the hip. If it feels good and you want to try, lightly engage the core muscles. So lightly engage those lower abdominals. Imagine you're doing up those tight jeans. Not too much. Again, it's not about a full 100% engagement. It's about a little bit of engagement there. Keep you stable. And then lift the left foot off the floor. You can clasp behind the left thigh, and that might be enough. Just staying here. Keep this right foot flexed. Or if you want to, you can start to draw everything in. Pull that left thigh and draw everything in towards your chest. And then you'll feel the intensity in the right hip. So this is, again, feeling in. It's your body, your yoga. See how it feels. Only go as far as you want. And again, any amount of little sways or rocks from side to side, they can be really soothing to your nervous system and soothing to your body. And if you naturally discover that having focused a little bit on this slower, smoother breath, that your body naturally wants to take a big sighing breath, which mine just did, then just go with that. That's all good. It's all part of the process. So if you're moving, gently find stillness, release the hands, let the left foot come down and then the right foot. And we'll do the other side. So between sides, always a little reset, even if that's just lifting and lowering the hips, resetting the shoulders, wriggling down to that space at the back of the heart, grounding down, tuck the chin, all these little tiny adjustments. Find that connection between the right foot and the floor. And then draw the left knee into the chest. Again, adjust any time you need. Extend that left leg. Feel your way in. I always close my eyes so I can feel more clearly. I can feel more loudly, if that makes sense, when my eyes are closed. My body gives me much better feedback. So keep that left foot flexed if you can. Press that ceiling away. Find any little amounts of movement. Little sways. Keep that right foot deeply connected to the earth. Feel the connection along the back of the body, the shoulders, the back of the head. And the breath is slow and smooth. And then bending that left knee, place the right ankle just beneath the knee. Feel into that left hip. Again, maybe you just stay here. Or you can engage the core lightly as you lift the right foot off the ground. Clasp behind the thigh, tuck the chin. Keep that spine and neck long. And only if you want to, start to draw that right thigh in. So you can stop at any point in that process. From keeping the foot on the floor to drawing everything into your chest. And then again, any amount of movement that you would like to do. Okay, gently find stillness, release the hands, place the right foot down and then the left foot. Okay, place the arms alongside you now on the ground. Feel the connection all the way from the tips of the fingers to the shoulders. And move the feet a little bit closer to your bum. So you should be able to just about touch your heel with your middle finger if your fingers were right behind your feet. And then lightly engage that core again. Make that connection between both feet equally. And when you do that, feel how the legs engage. Imagine the inner thighs sort of magnetized. So they're drawing towards each other and repelling. So they're completely still, but there's an energy there between the inner legs. Tuck the chin, feel the shoulder blades and the space at the back of the heart grounding. And with that lightly engaged core, we're going to lift the hips off the ground. So when you're ready, on a slow in-breath, press even more into the feet. Keep pressing into the feet as the hips begin to lift. Feel the weight moving back into your shoulders. Let the hips lift for the entire length of the in-breath. And then slowly lower down on the out-breath. Try to lower down one vertebra at a time, starting at the top, till the hips land last of all. And then keep going like this on your own breath. So slow lifting, nice spacious breath, and a slow release. Maybe the next time you lift a fraction higher, but that's fine. It doesn't, height is not important, but it may be that a little bit more space opens up there. Keep that breath nice and smooth. Okay, we'll do 2 or 3 more like this on your own breath. So when we think of yoga, we often think of very dynamic flows where all these poses are linked together, lots of standing, jumping, energetic things, and that's all true. That is part of yoga. I believe so strongly in two things. One, that you need the foundations. You need to understand each pose broken down into its parts before you can link them all together to keep it safe. But also, this is yoga. This is as much yoga as handstanding and warriors and downward dogs. This slow connection with your body and your breath, putting together slow movement and breath, being fully present. It's yoga, baby, and you're doing it. Okay, at the end of your next one, let the hips settle. Feel the weight of them as they finally touch down and you settle there. Okay, we're going to come up to a seat so you can roll onto your side and help yourself up with your hand. You can cross your feet and come up that way. I'm just going to grab a very quick drink. Okay, we're going to do a seated side bend, which we did in class 1. This is like a really core warm-up pose, but there's a lot to it, and I love that. I think a lot of people overlook these seated or really slow, what looks like simple poses. They overlook them, but actually they're rich in learning, and they're rich in just so many ways in which they're beneficial and beautiful to do. Okay. So we're going to sit in a cross-legged shape. If you need to perch on a blanket, like wedge it underneath your hips just to tilt your pelvis a little, if that helps you keep a straight spine, then by all means do that. If you're on a hard floor and you're hurting under your feet, or it's a bit, uncomfortable, put your blanket there. They're just great for all of those uses. But if you're fine sitting like this, great. Hands on the knees. Okay, next inhale, we're going to sweep the arms overhead. So again, breath and movement, so make the breath last the length of the movement and vice versa. Keep the left hand high and place the right hand on the ground. So it could be quite a long way away, could be quite close to you, that's entirely up to you. I like it at a reasonable distance because I like to be able to bend my elbow, and I think that that's a really nice way of increasing and decreasing intensity really easily. And the left arm alongside the ear, not draped like this, but an energetic line from the hip to the fingers. Reach into the fingertips, and at the same time find that connection. Keep this left hip grounded. Okay, if you want to, you can start to bend that elbow. You might think, oh, that's actually too much, I need to come out a bit. This is all how you discover where you're at. Feel your way in. But this opposing movement, this hip and fingers, reach into the fingertips without tension. We're not creating any tension. It's a joyful ease, an energy that just zooms up to your fingertips. Breathe into the side of your body. Okay, we're going to rainbow to the other side. So press up off this right hand, place the left hand down, right hand alongside the ear, and then bend this elbow or adjust this hand as you need. Right hip nice and grounded. Reach into the fingertips. Okay, we're coming back to the other side, but into a twist. So we're going to come up, and then we're going to place the right hand behind us and the left hand on our right knee. I'm just going to turn around this way so it's really clear. So the right hand is quite close up to the base of my spine. Left hand is on my knee. So pressing into the earth, make that connection. Find that line of energy first that zooms all the way up the spine. So it almost feels a little bit like you're lifting out of your waist, and then twist from the belly. So lift first and then twist, using that left hand against your right knee. And this is a twist from the belly. It's not about your head. You can look over your shoulder, but you don't need to. You can just look to the side. And then slowly come back to the center. Sweep the arms again. This time we'll go to the other side. So left hand behind, right hand to left knee. Press into the earth. Find that length through the spine first and then twist. Nicely done. Come back to center. And then roll over your knees. Make your way to all fours. We're going to do cat-cow. Another absolute staple and foundation of our practice. A great warm-up. So here we're looking to have our knees under our hips and our wrists under our shoulders. You can have the toes tucked or not. Fingers are spread, middle finger facing forward. So you know that you're in a correct alignment if your middle finger is always facing forward. Okay, gently just let the belly hang. Lift the gaze a little. Take a slow, spacious breath in. And as you exhale, start to press into the hands. Arch the spine to the ceiling. Let the head drop. As you breathe in, lift the tailbone. Let the spine ripple through. Belly drops. Lift the gaze. Press into the earth. Exhale, press even more. Round that spine to the ceiling. Drops the head. Start the movement from the tailbone as you breathe in. Ripple through. Let the heart shine between the upper arms. One more like this. Exhaling round the spine. Inhaling, drop the belly. Lift the chin. Okay, come back to that neutral spine. Untuck the toes if you had them tucked. We're going to go into a cat balance. So we're going to send our right arm forward. So as you lift that right arm off the floor and move it forward, you will probably feel the core muscles engage anyway. But if, you can help them along, but this is it's just a brilliant little balance this. So send that right arm forward and then your left leg back. And lightly engage that core. So you're really using these lower abdominals to create almost like a big band of stability around your body. And it helps with wobbling when you're trying to balance. And who doesn't want a nice strong core? Okay, so you can flex or point that back foot, but reach some energy into it. Reach into your fingertips at the front. Find what we call in yoga your drishti, your gaze point. So that needs to be somewhere sensible. So it could be right beneath your nose. It could be the top of your mat. And keep your focus on that drishti, on that gaze point. That'll also help your balance. If you need to pad under your knee with a blanket here, then do so. And then gently bring that hand and knee down. We'll do the other side. So send your left arm forward and then your right leg back. Lightly engage the core. Find your gaze point. Nicely done. Bring the hand and the knee down. Okay, right, listen up. Take this right leg and swivel it so that you are parallel with your lower leg to the short edge of your mat. Place your right hand down and your left leg long. So we're in a line from hand, knee, foot. Okay, lift this left arm to the ceiling. And again, reach to the tips of your fingers. Feel the energy there. Think about that left foot. Try to ground the outside edge of that foot, or at least move it in the direction of the earth. And hold here for a breath. If you'd like a challenge, by all means, lightly engage the core and then lift this leg off the ground. If you want, you don't have to. And then we're going to press off this bottom hand. We're going to come up. We're going to place the left hand somewhere on the left leg and then reach the right arm alongside the ear. Again, keeping all of this nice and tight. lightly engaged, keeping us stable. Beautiful. Slowly come back down. Come back to all fours. Then we'll go the other way. I'll have my back to you, but it will give you a different view. So we're swiveling that left leg that way, planting our left hand and then our right foot and extending up. Okay, if it feels good, lifting that right leg off the ground. Embracing the wobble or feeling strong, whatever's going on. Okay, press up off this left hand. Find your leg with your right hand, left arm alongside the ear. Nicely done. Come back down, find that all fours again. Tuck the toes and then sit back and find your way into a squat. You keep the fingertips on the ground. Now, as you can probably see, my heels are miles off the floor. They always have been, and I suspect they always will be. My ankles just don't move that way. I cannot sit with my feet flat. So that's fine, but for me, this is as much of a balance as it is a hip opener. So I could put my blanket or a couple of books or something, or a wedge underneath my heels if I really wanted to, but I'm okay balancing on my toes. But if I wasn't, I would certainly make an adjustment there. So we come into squat, and you can either keep the hands on the ground, the fingers. If you're going to do that, I would suggest having the arms straight and then making a connection between your elbow and your knee, or your upper arm and your thigh, or wherever your arm is touching. And then move the two parts together. So leg into arm, arm into leg. Really make a nice strong dual connection there. And you'll see that also, anything like that helps you with balance or stability. If you're not balanced on your toes, it might not be quite so necessary. The other thing you can do is to bring your hands to a prayer position and let the elbows press into the knees, knees into elbows. And again, find your drishti, find your gaze point, and keep all of your focus on that point. And then watch the breath, that spacious, smooth breath just entering and leaving your body. If you've got your hands in prayer, imagine that your sternum is kind of magnetically drawn towards your thumbs. So the heart is always lifted in this shape, not kind of slumped. We're really keeping that heart nice and shining forward. Okay, if you've got hands in prayer, bring the fingertips back to the ground. We're moving from here, we're transitioning into a forward fold. But I've got something really important I need to say, so listen up. Okay. Press into the fingertips and lift the hips a little, just a little, and turn the feet parallel, and then lift all the way into a forward fold. I would never recommend coming into a forward fold with your feet at that angle. That's just asking for trouble. So a little lift of the hips, turn the feet parallel. Find that forward fold. The knees can stay really bent. You do not have to have straight legs. Then you can release the fingers. You can hold your opposite elbows. You can let yourself hang. You may be way up here. That's all fine. This is just happens to be where I land. You can walk the feet a little bit further apart if you want, to create a really nice stable foundation with which to just hang. And if you're swaying, slowly find stillness. We're going to plant our left hand down on the ground. Now, if you're right up here and you can't reach the ground yet, this is when your block comes in handy, because you can put your block at your highest height or mid-height, whatever you need. We're going to place our hand underneath our face. Left hand, bend the left knee a lot. Peel that right arm open. Now, when I say peel, I tend to do shoulder, elbow, fingers. So start the movement from the shoulder, and as you do that, feel how we're twisting from the belly again, then the elbow, then the fingers. Okay, if you don't need the block, maybe your hand is flat or fingertips on the floor. So we're working to straightening, or not locking out, but straightening that right leg. Keep the left leg bent. Slowly, next time you exhale, fold yourself back down. Place the right hand on the ground. Bend the right knee a lot. Peel the left arm, shoulder, elbow, fingers. Reach into the tips of those left fingers. Gently bring the left hand down. Find that fold again. And then bend the knees, send the toes out, come back into that squat. So hands at prayer or fingertips on the ground. And then gently walk the hands forward, let the knees come to the ground, toes together, knees out. We'll find child's pose. So again, if this is a very uncomfortable shape for you to come forward like this between your thighs, then you can turn onto your back and you can hug your knees, or you could put the soles of the feet together and open out the knees. If you are able to do this, you can walk yourself forward. Reach the hands to the front of the mat, place the forehead down. If you would rather not have the arms straight, you can put a nice big bend in the elbows. That can be really soothing. And at this point, if you've got your forehead on the ground, now is the connection. So think about that connection between the forehead and the earth. You know, unless you're levitating, there's always somewhere in connection with the earth. And in yoga, we like to use that. It's such a grounding feeling to always be in contact with the earth consciously. And then the more grounded we feel on the planet, in our bodies and in our breath, then the more we can explore other things, and we can just find those sort of wells of inner knowing, you know. But we have to kind of be grounded first. We have to be grounded before we feel brave enough maybe to do new things, or you know, it's so far reaching, that feeling of the benefits of being completely grounded. You know, we're much less shaken when we are rooted. Okay, you've got your arms forward, slowly slide them towards your knees, press yourself up with a nice flat back. Make your way back to a cross-legged seat. So well done for getting to the end of part 2 of our journey into yoga. I hope if you've done both parts now and you are genuinely completely new to this, that you are seeing that, well, I don't know, I'd love to know. Please comment what you're thinking and feeling about this. But my hope is that you see that these are not easy shapes and poses just to be overlooked to get to things that are more dramatic. This is where it starts. This is your foundation. And if you get this correct, you know, if you really work on learning to feel embodied and grounded, and how to move your energy, and when to reach and when to ground, and all of those elements, then you're going to set yourself up for a lifetime of exploration in yoga. And I am so excited for you, because it's just limitless. There is no end point to our yoga practice. It just evolves and grows with us and supports us in so many ways. So well done for doing this. I'm so proud of you. I can't wait to share more with you. Please feel free to check it out, obviously, if you haven't already done it, part 1 of this series, but also I've got a couple of how-tos, which are little tutorial videos that break down some key poses. We are going to cover them in future videos in this series, but if you want to, you know, get a heads up, or you're hungry for more, then maybe start there too. Okay, so that just leaves me to say thank you so much for joining me. If you haven't done already, please subscribe to my channel, and then you will never miss another video. And I just, from my home to yours and from my heart to yours, I send you lots of well wishes and love. And I am just so happy that you have chosen to start a yoga practice. I don't think you're going to regret it. Anyway, lots and lots of love until we meet again. Bye.